The orbital station hung silently above the blue and green planet. Stars glittered like scattered diamonds, and the blackness of space stretched endlessly. This was no ordinary station. Built to host the galaxy's most advanced warriors, strategists and explorers, it was the site of the Galactic Training Alliance, a program designed to strengthen interstellar species through rigorous training and cooperation. The station hummed with activity. Aliens from hundreds of worlds moved in every direction. Tall insectoids clicked their mandibles, their multiple limbs carrying equipment. Sleek aquatic creatures glided through transparent corridors filled with water. Feathered beings from high-gravity planets adjusted their wing harnesses to navigate low-gravity rooms. All of them had come to this station seeking to prove their strength, skill, and intelligence. Among them was a small group of humans. They were easy to overlook. Compared to the towering armored reptilians or the psychic glowing creatures, humans looked fragile. They were simple in appearance: 2 arms, 2 legs, no wings, no scales, no specialized appendages. Their uniforms were plain, with no holographic displays or self-adjusting materials. They carried only basic tools, backpacks, climbing ropes, and their determination. The alien trainees noticed them immediately. A large horned warrior named Grax from the planet Volcara whispered to his companion, "Why are they here? They look like children compared to us." His friend, a crystalline being named Rill, clicked in agreement. "I have studied human history," Rill said. "They survive on nothing, yet I cannot see anything that would make them exceptional." The humans did not respond to the whispers. Instead, they focused on their exercises. From the first day, it was clear they trained differently. While aliens tested their natural abilities, humans pushed themselves to extremes using simple methods. They ran across rugged terrain, their muscles straining with every step. They lifted heavy weights without the aid of anti-gravity pods or exoskeletons. They climbed walls, balanced on narrow ledges, and practiced combat drills without the benefit of advanced technology. The aliens watched in confusion. "How can they endure this?" asked Vrix, a 6-limbed insectoid, his voice tinged with disbelief. "We cannot go beyond this for more than an hour." They continue without rest. Humans didn't just endure. They smiled, laughed, and encouraged each other. They fell repeatedly during climbing exercises, scraped their knees and hands, and still rose with determination. Each fall was met with careful analysis. "I made a mistake," a human named Lara said to her group. "Next time I will try this angle." She demonstrated a new method and her teammates followed. The alien trainees were unsettled. For them, failure was a weakness, a flaw to hide. Humans treated it as a tool. Every mistake became a lesson. Every loss a step toward improvement. No one had ever seen anything like it. The first week passed and humans began showing results. In endurance exercises, they outran creatures built to survive harsh conditions. In climbing challenges, they scaled walls faster than species with natural climbing abilities. Their movements were not precise like robotic calculations, but fluid, adaptive, and unpredictable. Vrix and Rill observed a human's team relay. Humans passed objects, coordinated movements, and helped each other without explicit commands. They anticipated mistakes before they happened. Rill whispered to Vrix, "It is not that they are stronger. They learn. They adapt. Every action seems thought out but not calculated. It is instinctive yet smarter than logic alone." The humans were not perfect. They grew tired and occasionally failed spectacularly. But their failures never broke their spirit. While a crystalline being might shatter from stress, humans laughed at exhaustion, shared water, and devised ways to continue. Their persistence was exhausting to watch. One day, the aliens decided to test them. They arranged an obstacle course that would be impossible for most species. Spinning laser grids, moving platforms, extreme gravity shifts, and toxic gas chambers filled the course. Each alien assumed humans would fail immediately. The humans approached cautiously but without fear. They observed, planned, and acted. When the first laser grid spun dangerously close, one human rolled under the beams. Another jumped across gaps while helping a teammate balance. When the gas chamber filled with clouds of green mist, they covered their faces with fabric, creating makeshift filters, and moved through it together. By the end of the course, humans were exhausted, scratched, and bruised, but every member had crossed successfully. Some aliens stared in silence. Others whispered anxiously. "It cannot be just luck," said Grax, wiping sweat from his brow. "There is something about them." Humans did not boast. They sat together, drinking water and discussing their performance. "We can do better next time," said a human named Jalen. "I slipped on that platform. Next round I'll be ready." Another human, May, smiled. "We are all learning." That's the point. Meanwhile, aliens observed silently. A psychic alien named Kale attempted to probe human thoughts. What he found was baffling. Human brains were messy, chaotic, and emotional, yet capable of rapid decision-making in ways no algorithm could predict. Humans combined intuition, creativity, and emotion in perfect balance. It was unlike anything Kale had ever encountered. The humans' unpredictability grew. In team drills, they changed strategies mid-task. If a route was blocked, they invented a new one. If a teammate fell, they adjusted without hesitation. For the aliens, this was terrifying. Their calculations and simulations failed repeatedly when humans were involved. By the end of the first week, a subtle fear began to spread. The aliens had come to the station expecting to teach and test others. Instead, they were learning, observing a species that refused to conform to expectations. They began whispering privately. "They are different," said Rill. "Not faster, not stronger, but something else. Something we cannot measure." The humans themselves remained unaware of the stir they caused. To them, training was a challenge, a game, and a way to improve. They encouraged alien teammates, shared water, and offered tips. Sometimes an alien would scoff at a human solution, yet it always worked. One evening, as the station rotated above Earth, a human named Eli sat gazing at the planet below. "It's amazing," he said. "All this space, all these stars, and yet here we are, training together. We can learn from each other, but we must push ourselves too. That is the point." Another human, Kara, nodded. "Exactly. We don't need to be the strongest. We just need to keep moving forward. We adapt, we survive, and we improve. That is what counts." Their simple philosophy unsettled the aliens further. For centuries, many of these species had prided themselves on strength, intelligence, and natural ability. Now, a species that appeared fragile on the surface was demonstrating something far more dangerous: the ability to overcome any challenge with persistence and creativity. By the end of Part 1, humans had not only survived their first week on the orbital station, they had unsettled every species that trained beside them. Alien leaders began discussing them in private chambers, unable to hide their concern. The common thought echoed silently through corridors: "These humans are unlike any species we have ever encountered, and we do not know what they are truly capable of." The stage was set. Observers from countless worlds realized that humans were not ordinary trainees. They were something else entirely: unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless. And this was only the beginning. The orbital station buzzed with a new kind of energy. After the first week of observation, the alien trainees could no longer dismiss the humans as ordinary. Whispers of disbelief and fascination spread through corridors. "They survived the obstacle course," said Vrix, clicking his mandibles nervously. "And they did it without advanced tools. How?" The humans, unaware of the growing tension, continued their routines calmly. Each morning began with the same disciplined exercises: running along the station's low-gravity tracks, lifting heavy weights, practicing hand-to-hand combat, and performing coordinated drills. But now their instructors added competitions. These events were not casual games, they were high-stakes tests designed to push species to their limits. The first competition was a zero-gravity navigation race. Participants had to move from one end of the station to the other, while avoiding moving obstacles, laser grids, and rotating platforms. Most species approached the task with precision. They calculated trajectories, relied on innate abilities, and used specialized equipment. The humans, however, treated the course differently. They observed the movements of obstacles, tested small paths, and then adapted in real time. While an alien's path was rigidly planned, humans were flexible, adjusting their strategies as conditions changed. Jalen, one of the human trainees, zipped past a spinning platform by leaping at the last moment. A crystalline alien, known for its speed and reflexes, tried the same move and collided, bouncing off the wall. Observing this, May grabbed a teammate's hand to swing around a rotating laser and whispered, "Try this angle, it works better." Together, they passed an area that other species had deemed impossible. By the end of the race, the humans had not only finished first but had done so with minimal mistakes. The aliens were stunned. They had relied on their natural abilities and technology, Yet the humans had achieved success through adaptation, teamwork, and observation. Next came the desert survival trial. A simulation chamber mimicked a harsh desert environment: extreme heat, shifting sands, and scarce water sources. Many species had evolved to survive similar conditions on their own planets, but the humans faced it with no natural advantages. They had no water processing organs, no protective exoskeletons, no heat-resistant skin, yet the humans thrived. They constructed makeshift shelters from limited materials, used reflective surfaces to avoid the scorching heat, and rationed water carefully. When a small group of alien trainees ran out of supplies, humans shared theirs without hesitation, showing a level of cooperation the aliens had not expected. Grax, the horned Volcaran, shook his head in disbelief. They should not be surviving this, he muttered to Reel. They have nothing that should allow them to endure these conditions, and yet, they persist. It wasn't just physical endurance that made humans remarkable. Their minds were equally formidable. During a strategy exercise, trainees had to plan the defense of a simulated city against waves of attackers. Many alien species approached this challenge with rigid logic. Plans were made, contingencies calculated, and strategies executed. Humans did something different. They improvised, creating decoys, using the environment in unexpected ways, and coordinating moves instinctively. When the simulation ended, the human city remained intact. Other species' strategies had crumbled under unpredictability. The alien sense of superiority began to erode. What they had assumed would be easy victories turned into unexpected defeats. Even the instructors took notice. Kale, the psychic alien, observed human brains during mental exercises. He found their thought patterns chaotic but brilliant. Humans combined memory, intuition, creativity, and emotional reasoning to make decisions faster than any algorithm could predict. By the third week, the competitions became more intense. Organizers introduced mixed-species teams, forcing aliens and humans to work together. It was an attempt to see if humans could rely on others to compensate for their weaknesses, or if they would falter without dominance. The results were extraordinary. Humans not only integrated seamlessly into mixed teams, but they also elevated their alien teammates. They taught, encouraged, and adapted to others' strengths and weaknesses. Even species that were proud, solitary, or distrustful found themselves working together under human guidance. A critical exercise involved capturing a moving target on a vast zero-gravity arena. Teams had access to various gadgets, speed boosters, and tactical drones. Most species focused on using their technology and superior speed to corner the target. Humans, in contrast, studied the target's patterns, coordinated their movements with teammates, and improvised traps in real time. The outcome shocked everyone. Humans and their teammates captured the target efficiently, while some advanced species, relying on gadgets alone, failed repeatedly. The lesson became clear. It was not raw power or technology that guaranteed success, but adaptability and cooperation. Alien trainees began talking quietly among themselves. "It's impossible to predict them," said Ryle. "Every time we think we understand, they surprise us." Vrix clicked nervously. "I thought our species was advanced. Yet humans adapt faster than anyone, and they do it instinctively." The humans themselves remained humble. They celebrated each success but quickly moved on to the next challenge. They treated victory as a step forward, not an achievement to boast about. This attitude was confusing to aliens who measured progress in trophies, rankings, or displays of dominance. One evening, after a particularly grueling obstacle course, humans sat together, sharing water and discussing their techniques. "The rotating platform almost caught me again," Lara said, smiling. "Next time I'll time my jumps differently." "Exactly," May replied. "We learn from every mistake. That's how we improve. No one wins by staying the same." Grax observed from a distance, unease growing in his chest. "It's not just their bodies," he whispered to Reel. "Their minds. Their approach. It's frightening. They will continue to succeed because nothing we do stops them." The humans' adaptability went beyond training exercises. During free time, they explored experimental simulations, using creativity to find hidden solutions others overlooked. While alien species focused on direct methods, humans discovered unconventional paths. They combined elements of chance, improvisation, and observation in ways no one expected. Even the instructors, who had decades of experience in training elite beings, were impressed. A final simulation of the week pitted humans against a mix of species in a battle of strategy and endurance. Humans had limited technology compared to other species, yet they coordinated movements with precision, anticipated threats, and improvised tactics when plans failed. When the simulation ended, humans had emerged victorious yet again. Alien trainees who had come expecting dominance could not conceal their growing fear and respect. Grax, once confident in his superiority, now muttered under his breath, "If they can do this with minor training, what are they truly capable of?" By the end of Part 2, the station was filled with tension. Humans had not only survived the first month of training, they had outperformed expectations at every turn. They had excelled in endurance, survival, strategy, and cooperation. Alien trainees were beginning to feel that humans were not just unusual. They were a species that could not be measured, predicted, or contained. Vrix, Rill, and Grax shared a rare moment of agreement. Humans are dangerous, not because they are stronger, faster, or more advanced, but because they are unbreakable, unpredictable, and relentless. The humans themselves remained unaware of the fear they inspired. For them, training was a challenge, a way to improve, and a game of learning. But for every species that trained beside them, the unsettling thought had begun to take hold. Humans might be unlike any species the galaxy has ever seen. And soon every being in this station would have to confront that terrifying truth. The orbital station's training modules had grown more intense. Aliens who had once viewed humans with curiosity now watched them with a mixture of awe and unease. Each day, the humans seemed to surpass expectations in ways no one could predict. The latest test was the most complex yet, an interstellar war simulation designed to measure strategy, adaptability, and teamwork under extreme pressure. Participants were divided into squads representing different species, each squad given limited resources and tasked with defending a simulated star system against waves of attacks. It was a challenge that had defeated the best strategists in the Alliance. Humans were assigned to a mixed-species squad. Their teammates included Grax from Volcara, a heavily armored and confident warrior, Rill, a crystalline being known for calculating precision, and Kale, a psychic whose mental projections could detect enemy movements before they occurred. The aliens assumed the humans would follow instructions, relying on their natural abilities and technology to do the work. From the beginning, humans approached the exercise differently. Instead of relying solely on pre-planned strategies, they observed the environment, assessed the strengths and weaknesses of both allies and enemies, and adjusted plans in real time. Lara, one of the human squad members, noticed an enemy drone squad approaching from an unexpected angle. She called out to the team, "They're coming from the east corridor. If we block the main gate, they'll flank us. Let's set traps along their path instead," Grax scoffed. "That is too risky. The drones will overwhelm us." But Lara's confidence was calm and deliberate. "If we follow the same logic every time, they will predict us. We have to think differently." The humans implemented their plan. Using limited energy shields and improvised decoys, they lured the enemy drones into traps. Kale, using his psychic sense, guided teammates through dangerous zones, while Rill adjusted calculations based on real-time observations. Together, the team turned a potential defeat into a decisive victory. The aliens were stunned. Grax could not hide his disbelief. How did they know exactly where to move?" he muttered. "They have no advanced scanners, no predictive software. Yet they act as if they see everything." Humans did not boast. Instead, they quickly moved to the next challenge, focusing on improvement rather than praise. Their mindset was simple but effective. Learn from what happens, adapt, and move forward. The next wave of the simulation introduced environmental hazards, artificial black holes, collapsing starfields, and energy storms. Other species relied heavily on their natural or technological advantages. Aquatic beings tried to navigate energy storms using water-filled suits. Insectoids used enhanced reflexes to dodge collapsing debris. Crystalline species calculated trajectories with exact precision. Humans adapted differently. They observed patterns, tested small movements, and improvised solutions. When a black hole simulation began pulling parts of the battlefield into its orbit, humans coordinated to use debris as cover and created pathways through gaps no alien would have considered safe. When their technology failed, they improvised with basic tools, creating shields and barriers from materials at hand. By the third wave, even the instructors could not predict the humans' actions. Every alien participant had strategies prepared to counter their own strengths, yet humans consistently avoided traps, anticipated enemy moves, and turned potential disasters into advantages. After hours of relentless challenges, the simulation ended. Humans and their team had successfully defended the star system, achieving a result no one expected. Alien trainees looked at each other in disbelief. This is impossible," Kale said quietly, his psychic voice tinged with awe. "They are not stronger. They are not faster. And yet, they outperform all of us at every turn." Rill, the crystalline being, nodded slowly. "It is not just skill. It is something else. Something we cannot measure, cannot predict. They learn faster than any species I have known, and they adapt instinctively." Grax, still shaking his head, muttered, "They should have failed, but they didn't. They turned near defeat into victory." Even more troubling to the aliens was the humans' unpredictability. Where most species relied on rigid tactics, humans improvised. Their decisions were not random. They were creative, logical, and adaptive simultaneously. Every setback became an opportunity, every mistake a lesson. Alien participants who attempted to anticipate human actions were consistently outmaneuvered. The instructors held a private meeting after the simulation. "It is not possible to train humans the same way we train others," one of them stated. "They do not respond like any species we know. They adapt, improvise, and persist in ways that defy our models." Another instructor added, "Every simulation, every exercise, every obstacle we place before them, they find a way to overcome. And the terrifying part is, we cannot predict their next move." Meanwhile, humans themselves continued their routine with quiet determination. They did not seek recognition or domination. To them, the exercise was simply another opportunity to learn and improve. Lara, Jalen, May, and the others discussed strategies, shared observations, and prepared for future challenges. Their camaraderie was natural and unforced. They encouraged allies and helped weaker teammates improve. During a debrief, Grax could no longer contain his frustration. "How do you do it?" he demanded. "We have trained for centuries to master tactics, survival, and combat. And yet, you succeed where we fail." May smiled calmly. "We don't try to be the strongest. We try to be the most adaptable. We learn from mistakes, we help each other, and we keep moving forward. That is all." The aliens were unsettled. Adaptability and cooperation, they realized, were not weaknesses but terrifying strengths. Where other species relied on brute force, technology, or pre-programmed intelligence, humans used intuition, creativity, and persistence. There was no formula to counter them, no plan that could guarantee success against a human team. Later that day, Fricks confided in Ryle. "We have underestimated them. Every species that has trained beside them reaches the same conclusion. They are not ordinary. And if they ever face a real threat, none of us can predict the outcome." Rill nodded solemnly. "It is a chilling thought. We pride ourselves on power, skill, and experience, and yet, humans seem to surpass all of it with persistence and ingenuity." The realization spread quietly among the alien trainees. Those who had initially dismissed humans as weak or fragile now felt a creeping fear. Not of violence, not of hostility, but of the sheer, unrelenting potential humans possessed. Every failure humans had avoided, every obstacle they had overcome, every problem they had solved left a mark on the minds of alien observers. Even the instructors acknowledged it. One remarked, "We thought we could teach them, guide them, control their training. Instead, they teach us. They show us that rules we thought universal do not apply to them." By the end of the day, a subtle tension filled the station. The humans had not only succeeded in the war simulation, they had done so with creativity, teamwork, and adaptability that defied every prediction. Alien trainees who had once been confident in their superiority were now unsure. Grax muttered to himself, "They are unstoppable if united in purpose. We cannot outthink them. We cannot overpower them. And worst of all, we cannot predict them." The humans, meanwhile, prepared for the next exercise with quiet focus. They joked, laughed, and encouraged one another, completely unaware of the fear they had sown. Their philosophy was simple: learn, adapt, survive, and improve. They had no need to intimidate or dominate. They let their actions speak. And for every species that had trained beside humans, a chilling thought began to take hold. Humans were not just another participant in the Galactic Alliance. They were fundamentally different. Their resilience, creativity, and unbreakable spirit made them a force unlike any other, a species that could not be controlled, predicted, or ignored. By the end of Part 3, the pattern was undeniable. Every alien who had watched humans closely reached the same conclusion. Humans were terrifying, not because of raw strength or speed, but because they were unrelenting, adaptable, and astonishingly clever. And this was only the beginning of what they might achieve. The orbital station's challenges had grown relentless. Alien trainees once confident in their strength now faced the harsh reality. Humans were not merely survivors. They were a force of adaptation and ingenuity that defied expectations. A new training module was introduced, designed to test both individual and team endurance under extreme conditions. The chamber simulated a dying planet. High winds whipped toxic dust across jagged terrain. Radiation zones flared unpredictably, and seismic tremors shook the ground. Only the most advanced species could expect to survive even a few hours. The aliens assumed humans would struggle. They had no natural armor against radiation, no thick skin to resist wind, no claws or wings for climbing. Yet, humans approached the simulation with a quiet determination. Jalen examined the terrain, pointing to cracks that might collapse under weight. "We need to move carefully and help each other." "Follow me," he said. Using ropes and improvised tools, the humans guided each other across precarious cliffs, sharing knowledge and encouraging teamwork at every step. Other species faltered. Insectoids miscalculated distances and fell into toxic dust clouds. Aquatic beings struggled with low oxygen zones. Crystalline species, though precise, hesitated in areas requiring rapid improvisation. But humans adapted instantly. Where others saw barriers, humans saw opportunities. Loose stones became stepping platforms. Torn metal sheets became shields, and fallen logs formed bridges over chasms. May led a subgroup through a collapsing area. "Quick, grab my hand." "Step here now," she instructed. Her teammates followed seamlessly, adjusting for shifts in weight and timing, never losing balance. The aliens observed in stunned silence. Grax muttered, "They should not survive this. Every instinct and calculation says they will fail. Yet they persist, and lead others to do the same." The simulation escalated. A sudden radiation surge forced all teams to find shelter quickly. Most species panicked, relying on pre-programmed protocols that slowed them down. Humans, however, scanned the environment and improvised protective measures. Lara grabbed debris to create a shield and guided others behind it. Jalen blocked gaps with rocks, reducing exposure. Their teamwork allowed the group to endure until the surge subsided. By the end of the first day, humans had not only survived, they had outperformed most alien species in both endurance and strategy. The whispers among the trainees grew louder. "It's impossible," Frick said. "No species should move through this environment unscathed. And yet humans do it effortlessly." Instructors convened a meeting. "Humans are not limited by typical weaknesses," one remarked. "They improvise when tools fail, adapt faster than any species we have trained, and inspire teamwork where others fail. Their potential is terrifying." The next exercise combined mental and physical challenges. Teams were tasked with securing a simulated energy core, while under attack from robotic adversaries. Each species relied on its strengths: strength, speed, psychic ability, or strategy. Humans relied on observation and ingenuity. May and Jalen coordinated the team. "Block the left corridor with debris," May directed. "I'll lure the drones into the right. Move silently and quickly. Watch each other's backs." The aliens hesitated. Their natural abilities were sufficient for most challenges. Yet human strategy succeeded where advanced technology alone had failed. Every trap set by the humans worked. Every plan anticipated the enemy's moves. And every failure was used as an opportunity to improve instantly. By the final stage of the exercise, the aliens were no longer just impressed, they were fearful. Grax admitted privately, "They are unpredictable. We cannot control them. We cannot foresee their actions. And we are supposed to train alongside them?" Humans remained calm. Their focus was simple: adapt, overcome, and move forward. They shared knowledge with alien teammates, improving performance for all. Alien trainees began to realize that human strength lay not in sheer power, but in their ability to elevate everyone around them. while mastering challenges no one else could overcome. That night, the alien leaders convened in secrecy. The discussion was somber. Every species that trains with humans reaches the same conclusion, one admitted. They are terrifying, not because they are stronger, faster, or smarter in the usual sense, but because they cannot be predicted, stopped, or contained when working together. By the end of Part 4, the aliens' fear had solidified. They had seen humans endure impossible environments, overcome insurmountable obstacles, and inspire teamwork that amplified success. The realization was unanimous. Humans were unlike any other species in the galaxy. And the question now loomed. If humans ever faced a real threat, what could possibly stop them? The final week of the Galactic Training Alliance program was underway. Alien leaders and trainees alike moved cautiously, knowing that humans had already surpassed all expectations. The last set of challenges was designed to combine every previous test: endurance, strategy, improvisation, and leadership under extreme pressure. The humans were assigned to lead a team across multiple terrains: collapsing stations, zero-gravity arenas, desert planets, and simulated war zones. Alien teammates were skeptical. How could humans guide them through so many impossible conditions without failing? From the beginning, humans demonstrated their strength not in raw power but in perception and coordination. Jalen noticed a collapsing bridge in the first simulation. "We can cross it safely if we move in sequence," he said. Humans and aliens alike followed his plan, balancing weight and timing. When cracks appeared, Lara adjusted their route instantly, ensuring no one fell. In the desert simulation, humans again relied on ingenuity. While most species used heavy protective gear, humans relied on observation, improvisation, and cooperation. They found shade in natural formations, built temporary water collectors, and rationed supplies efficiently. Their teamwork allowed their mixed species group to outperform others that relied on raw strength or technology. Even in zero-gravity arenas, humans excelled. They coordinated movements seamlessly, improvising tools to maneuver and guiding others. They anticipated obstacles and adapted to sudden changes faster than any species thought possible. The culmination was a final war simulation, a full-scale exercise representing an interstellar battle. Humans were pitted against multiple species, including some of the most advanced trainees. Alien teams used every tactic, weapon, and ability at their disposal. Humans had only basic equipment, but their creativity and adaptability turned the tide. May observed enemy movements and predicted strategies based on subtle patterns. Lara improvised traps from available materials while Jalen coordinated attacks with perfect timing. Their alien teammates followed without hesitation, inspired and guided by humans' calm confidence. The battle was chaotic, fast-paced, and unpredictable. Yet at every stage, humans adapted. When an enemy breached defenses, they adjusted instantly. When an alien teammate hesitated, they provided support. When tools failed, they improvised. By the end, the humans' team had achieved total success. The alien observers could not hide their astonishment and their fear. Every species that had trained alongside humans now recognized a terrifying truth. Humans were fundamentally different. Grax, once proud and confident, admitted quietly, "They are unstoppable when they work together. Not because they are the strongest, but because nothing can break their spirit. They think, adapt, and act faster than any of us. And worst of all, they inspire others to rise with them." Rill nodded solemnly. "We have all reached the same conclusion. Humans cannot be underestimated. They are a force that no calculation can predict, no strategy can contain, and no obstacle can permanently stop." Even the instructors, with decades of experience in training elite species, acknowledged the truth. "We came here to guide and measure them," one said. "Instead, they have shown us that they redefine the very rules of survival, strategy, and leadership. We cannot imagine a scenario in which they are truly defeated." The humans themselves remained humble. They did not celebrate victory with arrogance. They shared water, praised teammates, and discussed what they could do better next time. To them, the final week was not about proving superiority. It was about learning, adapting, and improving. That quiet humility made them even more formidable. Where other species sought glory, humans sought understanding. Where others relied on strength or technology, Humans relied on creativity, resilience, and teamwork. Where others feared failure, humans treated it as a stepping stone toward mastery. By the end of the program, every species on the station carried the same private thought. Humans were not just remarkable, they were terrifying in their potential. Alien leaders returned to their worlds with a mixture of admiration and caution, telling stories that would echo across the galaxy. And quietly, every alien who had trained beside humans realized the same chilling truth. If humans ever united fully in purpose, no force in the galaxy could predict or stop them. Humans, however, did not know the fear they inspired. To them, training was simple: push forward, learn from mistakes, help each other, and adapt. That philosophy, so basic and pure, had made them a species beyond comparison, a species whose strength lay not in muscle, scales, or psychic power, but in the unbreakable spirit that no challenge could defeat. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a species unlike any other, and every being that had stood beside them in training carried the same haunting conclusion. Humans were not merely participants in the alliance. They were a force of nature, unpredictable, unstoppable, and awe-inspiring in ways no one had ever seen before.